So today we want to kind of tackle all things children and teens. We have not hit that yet. We want to, and I thought it would be great to do it from a panel perspective. I think we got to begin to explore and hear God on how He wants to do church. Like, what does He want you to do? How does He want you to present? And it's not always a sermon format. It's not always me at the pulpit or her. It's all different things, but whatever we're presenting, you're learning, you're growing, you're getting it. Say amen. Okay, touch your neighbor and ask him, say, are you awake? I know you he snatched you out. Remember, come on out so we can get this message. All right. Yeah, now that was just sitting over here. Did they move over here? I know they're comfortable. They was over here, now they over here. I love it. That's y'all mentor, and y'all went to sit with her. You invited them to church? That's what you're supposed to do. And she's been here 3 times. See there? You know, after the 3rd time, you're automatically a member. That's one of the rules here. You can't keep coming here and saying, I'm just kind of dating. No, the third visit, we give you a membership letter and we tell you you're part. So, no, I'm just serious. Okay, and so we want to talk all things children and all things youth. I'll talk a little bit in the back, just a little bit. And for me, as a parent, well, let's start with the panel first. This is Elder Dominic, all the way to my left, and he always ready. Elder Dominic is 30 plus years, 32 in the Chicago public school system. Y'all clap for him. Now, can we do this as well? Can we get a microphone for Elder Kathy? Because I know she may want to jump in here because she has great insight, great wisdom, and she counsels and all that good stuff. And so I want to just be ready. He got it. Look at him. Look at he running for Jesus. And he not tired yet. Praise God. Give it up for the audio man. And then we have the Sanders. Y'all know them. They've been around here for a while. You've seen them on the last episode of Lifeline Church. And then all the way to my right, we got Brother Tyler. I like to call him Minister Tyler Lewis. Who said Tyler? Who said that? And he represents our Crave youth team today. And then we have these 2 ladies here. This is Sister Karen Fletcher and Sister Markia Smith. They run the Life Kids, their Life Kids team. I like it because you got old and new, you got seasoned and unseasoned. Well, I shouldn't say unseasoned, but Karen's, well, y'all don't let me get my foot in my mouth now. But millennial and seasoned. There you go. And so you got a little bit of both worlds here serving your children. And so who is that coughing with all that corona? Who is that? Give him some water. Get him some water. We got plenty of water around here. Yeah. What you say? You say ain't no corona? Okay. Well, coughing is illegal now. You can't cough in public. You got to cough in your house. You can't cough in public. And so, listen, I was at the Ross and messing around and coughed, and you had thought I had committed a crime. Like, hey, sir. I'm like, hey, chill out. And what was I saying? You got the best of both worlds to serve your children, ages 2 to 10. So don't neglect that. And so we want to talk about just an array of things. We'll get to a lot of it today. We'll finish the rest next time. And then you know us. My name is Reggie, and this is London. And we're just the pastors here. And so let me start by saying this. We always talk about loving people, embracing people, being kind to people, having an empathetic and intelligent approach to people. And sometimes we don't think that applies to our children. And we're going to help the parents and the children because we grew up in different arenas. And I don't want us to keep this thing of, well, that ain't how I was raised. And some of what you raised needs to be translated over. And some of it needs to be thrown away. and I shouldn't say thrown away, but managed better, because you can't tweet, because you gotta have an intelligent approach to your children. Whether you believe it or not, your children are more intelligent than you give them credit for being. And they live in, most of them, two worlds. Listen to me carefully. They live in your world and the world outside of your home that they've created or has been created for them. Because what we don't realize is everything is doctrine. So whatever your kids are listening to, or whatever they're playing, even the video games, whatever they're watching, it is all teaching them something 9 times out of 10 against what you've taught them. So they have to balance now two worlds. And so they leave with, outfit on, fully dressed, and they come home with no drawers on, and you wonder what happened. You wonder and you said this, where do you get that from? You didn't get that from here. Well, because you're not keeping them locked in the basement, they're going to be in the world. I tell my son now, you're not with us all the time because you're older now. So now I have to trust that you're going to make decisions based on what I've taught you, because you're not going to be with me. And then I got to handle or manage ourselves when he doesn't make decisions based on what I would have taught him or wanted him to make. Double. And then I have to know when to be flexible and when to be rigid and when to rescue and when to not. Because if I let you name the animals and you decide I'm going to do this and this brings this repercussion or whatever, what is it called, this consequence, I got to know when to let you deal with that consequence or to rescue you from it. And it's hard not to rescue your children, because whether they're acting up, whether they're acting out, whether they just cuss you out, they're still your children. And there's a part of you that's kind of like, that's my baby. And here's another thing, and I want to just throw it all out there, and I'm going to give it to the panel. Let's just put this on the table. We are parents responsible for a lot of what we see in our children. We've allowed it, we've pampered it, we've nurtured it, we've spoiled in certain ways, we've caused them to be entitled. People think entitlement comes from rich families. No, it comes from you not having discipline and not pushing. Y'all hear what I'm telling you? And so all of these things we got to talk about. And so the Sanders are pastors, but also parents, and he works with children. And he 30 years working with children. And I think Tyler is just fit to be up here because he's been with us for a long time, since maybe 13. He's been there, done that. He loves the Lord. And I like it because he don't have to wear a suit and tie and carry a Bible, but he's full of the Holy Ghost. And he has something to offer this generation that thinks they know more than God. And then you got Miss Marquille, who's been there for a long time. I know she has a heart for children. She loves the kids, creative arts, all that good stuff. A lot of y'all don't look at her like that because she's been helping you with your kids and changing your diapers and burping your kids and talking to them and walking them down the street and all of that. She's done it. And then Miss Karen, she's old school. She come from the arena that I came up in. Old school is not a bad thing, but there's a lot of things that's happening now she's not familiar with, but all she knows is go over there and sit down and read these Bible scriptures. You need both. The children shouldn't spend all their time in children's church coloring Joseph or highlighting the whale. They need to know what the whale represents and who Joseph was and the stories around that. And you put all of that together. The kids need to know how to fast and how to pray. I was fasting at the age of 12. I'm sorry, 8. I was fasting. I'm not talking about just salad only and juice. I'm talking about spit. That was the fast. I was mad. I had to fast Elder Floyd every Saturday until after the prep meeting. The prep meeting started at 5 o'clock on Saturday night. I was 8 years old. So I spent every Saturday night in prayer meeting. I didn't go out to play ball. I was missing the Von Erichs wrestling on Channel 50 because I was in prayer meeting. And so there's a balance to it. Your children want to have fun. Crave creates a space so they can have fun. The business camp, they had fun the last 3 days here. And see, here's the thing. You know when you get them because they come back to church. And they sit together like a little gang, like they're going to take over. But there's a certain degree you got to let them take over. I'd rather them being here taking over than we looking for them, saying, I wish they would come to church. So let's get some opening statements about this generation and just in general, and your heart on it, and then we'll just kind of flow from there. Can you kick it off? Because we've talked a lot about these kids, and we got some kids, and you help me with mine, and I'll be talking to you about yours, because the belt don't work no more.
No. Well,
no, don't get into that, because we live. We don't want to get arrested. Go ahead.
yeah, I'm social services for 30 years. I've been in social services. Here's my thing. I believe that we have to be more open and flexible to the tactics that we use to raise our children. We are in a completely different era than when we grew up. And so one of the mistakes I think we make as parents, we try to raise our kids the way we were raised, and sometimes we try to give our kids what we didn't have, which is not always good. So when you talk about entitlement and stuff like that, a lot of that is our fault. Because, and I tell my wife, we talk about this all the time. Now I understand I did my boys a disservice for not letting them go to the hood. I grew up.
Wait, say it again, for not letting them go to the hood.
Letting them experience life from a different perspective. I was born west side of Chicago.
Yeah, me too.
You know, streets. We played ball on crates in the alley. You know what I'm saying? We played it. We played hide go seek. We played fastball at the school. We had to walk.
We walked.
Yeah, we walked. We got on a bus. Now y'all ain't. You know what I'm saying? I grew up in an environment where everybody in the neighborhood knew each other.
Yeah.
And so we were outside a lot. This generation don't understand that. Mm-hmm. And so.
Now what happened? Help us, because everything you just named, they looking at you like, what do you mean walk? What do you mean go outside and play?
Can I be honest? This is my illumination. It was my fault. It was our fault because I wanted so badly to not let my kids experience what I experienced. I didn't allow them to grow and learn the way I learned. I'm a sharp dude, so I know how to go to the hood and, you know what I'm saying, observe. I know what's going on. I know how to read a room. I know when it's about to jump off, how to get up out of there. My kids are they fighting and books being thrown. It's like, hey, what's going on here? Hey, guys. Hey, I told them, hey man, when y'all at these football games, don't get so lax to just like, yeah, it's a football game. No, you don't know something can jump off, and when you have street knowledge, you kind of understand like, you know what? Let me get up out of here, because we took them out of that. And so we gave them everything that we didn't have, and we wanted our kids to grow up in a way that we didn't grow up, and we don't realize that that's handicapping them.
So what was missing? Because you also said it's okay that we give them these things. What didn't we balance out?
We didn't. That's the thing. It was no balance.
Okay.
I think, and I could just speak for me. I was so headstrong on, I wanted to be the father that I didn't have. I made sure that I overcompensated, which in turn kind of entitled them. Because it wasn't no school down the street. Walk to school. It was like, oh wait, let me adjust my schedule to make sure you go. Especially my wife. Oh my God, it was like.
Go ahead.
This is your.
Yeah, my perspective. We're one. Praise the Lord. My wife is like, no, they catch the bus 3 blocks. Oh no, not my baby. I'm like, hey, let them walk.
Yeah, because we walked 8 miles in the snow.
Oh my God.
With our backpack and our lunch. Come. Who? No. So this, I was gonna get to that part. I wasn't gonna say it like you said it. Like listen, me and Twan was saying our parts. So what had happened was, so what were you saying, Twan?
I think that because of the lack of balance, I think it would have been okay for me to say, hey, we going back to where I grew up. Mm-hmm. Let me show you this. And I think I did that too late. Because, you know,
is that necessary?
That's
I
necessary.
mean, to teach those principles, but do I have to go back over there to show them that?
You know why? I'll use a perfect example. And this is no knock on anything or anybody.
You
or
guys
anything
jump
like
in
that.
whenever. We're going to get to some certain things, but I want you to be open to all the conversation.
My first time taking Amari to Mexico, total different culture, total different way of life. They had certain things that was priority for them that really wasn't a priority for us. They were cool with what they had. They didn't have a lot, but it was like, hey, I got my family.
Very content.
I got very content. He was over there and he's looking around like, wow. You know, I didn't know that you can be happy with just this. It was kind of like, okay, what is that? What is that? What's going on with this? No cell phones? What is going on here?
Right.
They ain't got no TV. They ain't watching TV, no cable. And it's like, no, people are content in a certain place, and I want you to see that so you'll know that you don't need all of this. You don't need all of this to be happy. And so I praise God that my youngest son and my oldest son, they're not really as extravagant as my wife would want them to be.
What does that mean? He didn't hit you with this bus twice. What does that mean?
We'll talk after this.
Yeah.
Talk, I love
What does that
you
mean,
so
more
much.
extravagant?
It's, you know, certain things we have, and I'll use this in a more broader perspective. Our way of living in our country is completely different than in Mexico. And in, you know, overseas in Africa and just different places that we've been. It's just a totally different way of life. They don't need none of this stuff. We don't need, what's the shoes? The Yeezys and Balenciagas and all. They don't need none of that. They don't even know what that is. You know what I'm saying? They don't even value that stuff. Like, what? I got a pair of shoes, I'm good. I'm going to school.
So that's a society thing, but in the home, we have to make sure we balance that out.
We got to balance that out.
And so I agree, we are partly to blame.
Absolutely.
I bet if you look in this corner right now, it's probably like $4,000 in this corner right here, just on their
Yeah.
feet. And
Yeah.
So Elder, I want to hear you jump in here real quick, because I know he got his clipboard, he
And
got his
notes.
pens, he's ready. Come on. It's on.
Okay, now, when we talk about the past, the present, the future, there are some things that never change. And there are principles meaning that ends in P-L-E-S, concepts, ideas that never change. For example, teaching children good habits, that never changes. That transcends all generations. So, and we're not here to bash this generation either.
Right.
So let's get that clear. So we want to present ourselves in a way that everyone who's listening is receptive. Now, we understand perceptions. Everybody comes to the table with perceptions. No one has control over that but you and God. However, we have control over our presentation, but not how you perceive our presentation. You all see what I'm saying?
Right.
Okay. So, I believe that the most important thing parents need to teach their children before they get to school are good habits. Good habits. Number one, organizational skills. Children shouldn't come to school without a pencil. Teacher, I ain't got no pencil. I ain't got no paper. Those are parental issues. Children should come to school respecting authority. But they learn how to respect authority at home.
Home training.
So if children don't learn how to respect authority in the house, when they come to school, they'll cuss the teacher out.
Right.
In a New York second.
Right.
So
A New York second.
So let's start with good habits, because habits make us or break us. Habits make us or break us. And let me go back to this phone right here. Just
Elder
hold it
got
for a
notes.
second.
Help him hold this stuff.
Now I'm going to help every parent and grandparent
Come on.
instantly how to get your children, grandchildren to listen better. Watch this. This is magic. First of all, when your children are talking on the phone, which ear do they use mostly? Left or right? Okay, whichever ear they use, that's their dominant ear. That's their learning ear. Research shows, I talk on the phone with my left. So if you really want to get their attention, stand on their left side if they're left ear. Stand on their right side if they're right ear, because that's the part of them that amplifies everything they hear. For example, if this were my class right now, and I'm standing here, sitting here, it's almost like whatever they're saying or whispering, my ear amplifies what it's saying. That's how God created us. And the research, the science verifies that. So I can eavesdrop on conversations from my left ear because that's my dominant ear. It's not that it's better than the other ear. It's that it's connected to the brain in such a way that it inputs sound better and it impacts the brain better.
So standing in front of them yelling doesn't work.
Nope. Stand on now. If one of your sons talk on the phone with his right ear, stand on his right side and talk softly. Because if you're talking loud on his right side, he's going to say, "Dad, why you're yelling?" Because that right ear amplifies the sound. And then you'll say, "I'm not yelling." You'll do a George Jefferson.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do.
So that improves listening right away, right when you identify which is their dominant ear. Now, one more thing before we go around. Y'all got me, y'all woke me up here, metaphorically speaking. Okay. Let me see that again.
Yeah,
Can you hold this for me?
This is Alma Bear. She got keep all this stuff now.
Now, the second most important thing parents should identify before the child goes to school is what type of learner they are. Now, watch this. 65% of us are visual learners. 30% of us are auditory learners. 5% tactile learners. We got to touch things. We got to, always put our hands in things. And the other 5% are the kinesthetic learners. They got to move. Ministers of movement. They got to move. Now, watch this. We all of us learn through these 4 methods, but one of them is our dominant way of learning. Now, how did that happen? It happened in eternity. God decided I would be a visual learner primarily. That's why I have this up here. I primarily learn, my brain catch it when I see it. For example, guys, when you're out in the mall and you spit in your game and you want to, watch this. I can tell what kind of learner you are. If the girl give you the number and you say, "Just give it to me," you're an auditory learner. But you're a visual learner when you say, "Hold on, let me write it down." You're not slow, you're just a visual learner. Now, let me throw some facts in. School really wasn't built for tactile and kinesthetic learners. See, those are the kids that always get in trouble. You heard of Usain Bolt? You know why he got in trouble as a child all the time? He couldn't sit still. So his 2nd grade teacher took him to the gym, and the gym teacher said, "I'm going to just run that energy out of him." All of a sudden, he found out that was the fastest runner in the school. So these are the dangerous students, meaning you got to watch these students, the tactile and the kinesthetic. Dangerous meaning these are the students that drop out of school the most. The musicians up here, all of them, they were the ones that school forgot about. Because, see, the tactile learners, they got to touch stuff. Stop, put it down. Why are you in this? That's how they were trained to touch. The kinesthetic learners, those who got to move, those who are constantly just all over the place. They don't have ADHD. They are kinesthetic learners. They have to move. They were created to move. Michael Jackson, he would just stand in place.
Come on, El.
He was created for that. He was a kinesthetic learner. He even said he got his inspiration just walking down, just moving. So these are the neglected learners, the kinesthetic and the tactile learners. But these are the people that are so misunderstood and sent to the office or punished because we don't understand their style of learning.
Or medicated.
Medicated. Don't medicate them. Take them and put them in the skills where they were created to be. So when your child is always in touch, get them a coloring book. Let them write. Let them write outside the lines. Give them clay. Don't punish me for wanting to read something. It's the same as me. Don't punish me because I need this board.
Come on.
I was created to see it. Now, for those of you who are visual learners, let me warn you. You got to watch what you watch. Because when you watch it, it locks in. And it stays there until the finger of God moves it out. Read between the lines.
Come on.
You visual learners, men and women, and most men are visual learners. That's why certain programs have an effect on men, because when they see it, it's locked in, and it's from 20, 30, 40 years ago, and it's rooted there. Why? Because it has an indelible trace, because you're visual.
So we have a responsibility with what you're talking about to start at home and identifying these things and putting our kids in the right places, because the general school doesn't abide by that. They know it, but don't necessarily abide by that. And so that's why you have an uprise on ADHD and medicated children, because of what he just said. And so I think what we got to understand, this is not just good information you teach an elder. We got to take responsibility now with our children to identify who they are, where they are, and put them in the right places to grow in life. To grow in life, whether that's a special school, whether that's you go homeschool them, and they're all different. They're all different. You can have 5 kids and they're all different. And it is your responsibility. So it starts at home, and it is a great, I don't want to say burden, but it is an everyday thing from the parent to be attentive and assertive to their children, to know what they need, when they need it, how they need it, and where to place them. And if you don't, and you're waiting on the children's church to do it or the school to do it, it will not be done. Yes, ma'am.
You know, I'm thinking about it. I didn't know this when my children were growing up. I did not know. I'm learning right now that
what you just
Carla, my daughter, is a visual learner. My youngest son is a visual learner, and he's dyslexic, which puts him in a whole nother area. And Isaac always jumping around. But he's kind of like his mother. We always have a beat. I'm a what kind of person?
Kinesthetic.
That's me. That's him. But I never held him back. When he was little, he would just be bumping and making music and we put him in a class. I didn't know to do that.
How many of y'all got Capitolia kids? Capisthenic. What do you say, Kappa? Yeah. How many of y'all got them kind? Okay. So he said he found out today. I found out when you prayed over them at the graduation Sunday. We went home. We pulled up the study, not just the survey or what is it called?
20-question survey.
Right, and you can find out what your kids are. You should do that, okay? So you can know how to place them. Yeah. But you're right. We didn't know this stuff coming up. I know our parents didn't know, and now I'm looking back. Now here's the thing. I got to say this: as you begin to learn things in this season, don't beat yourself up for what you didn't know or didn't do, and don't lay burden on your parents for what they did not know and did not do. Say this: there's grace for everybody.
There's grace for everybody.
And we're all learning together. And I believe this, that God can restore the years once you do the work. Say, do the work.
Amen.
Okay, so I want to get everybody involved in this first session. And we're just kind of jumping all over, but it's all good, so catch it. I want to go to this side, to Karen, Markia, and Tyler, regarding influence, self-worth, and social media. Because I don't think we understand the power that social media has over our children. And it's not just they were just looking at some stuff or talking to their friends, it's affecting their self-worth. Because there's a great deal of bullying on social media. It's affecting their confidence and how they're influenced. So let's talk about it. Start, whoever wants to jump off with that.
Let me just say this.
Okay.
I didn't let my youngest son get a social media account until he graduated from high school. Mm-hmm. I didn't want him to be influenced by the things that by the lies that people put on social media. And he's like a gentle giant. And he was bullied in school. And it just, if I could have fought those kids. He was bullied, just a big guy and short. And one day, anyway. So what's that son? What's that last, the K one?
The Kappa,
That kinesthetic son.
For those of you who work in the school, and my wife works in the building too, those kids that are in the lunchroom banging on the desk, getting the beat, take those kids and put them in music and give them a drum. There's nothing wrong with, they got the knives. Boom, 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 boom. They're not ADHD.
Amen.
They're trying to express how God created them.
Amen.
Don't suppress the gift.
You are so
Amen.
right. Well, that's Isaac. Isaac all the time. I mean, anyway, he went to school and he was like, Mom, I'm gonna beat them up. He was gonna beat them up. I was like, Isaac, what is God gonna say about that? How are we gonna look? But anyway, we had to address that. It just wasn't gonna look good for me. Anyway.
But sometimes you got to punch the bully in the mouth.
Well, you know what happened? What happened is I would write letters, I would address it, and finally my husband told my son, he said, you know what? If they bother you again, fight until you see blood. So I sent a letter. And I said, I do not advocate fighting. Neither does my husband, but you all have not taken care of this. And so he told my son to fight until you see blood. And they suspended that boy the next day.
See?
And we didn't have any problems really after that.
But you didn't let them get a social media page.
I did
Let me
not
help
let
you.
him.
I don't think many parents say, go get a page. Kids have things you don't know they have.
No. Oh, no. I had,
Yeah.
well, see, my youngest son is 12 and 14 years younger than my other children. And come to think of, I have a stepson that's 19 years older than him. So anyway, I told him, watch out, make sure he's not on the page, because he really didn't need a page. And he said he didn't want one, and he did not get one, because I didn't want his self-esteem to be attacked anymore.
Got you. That's the whole point.
His self-esteem, their children's self-esteem can be attacked. And I would tell him always, because he was slower than the rest of the class, I would tell him, you're a genius.
See?
You are a genius. And he is super smart. But I would tell him, you're a genius. We messed up with our stepson because he's dyslexic. And, he wouldn't do his homework. He would write sentences wrong. They don't put punctuations, they don't capitalize, they spell by the way they hear. And so I'm like, Tremaine, why are you spelling wrong? Why aren't you I didn't know how he learned. We didn't understand Tremaine until we understood Aaron. And when we understood Aaron, I cried and I said, Tremaine, I'm
And
so
now you
sorry.
have understanding.
I had to apologize to him.
See?
I had to apologize.
That's a whole nother.
We didn't
now,
know.
put a pin there, because we're going to talk about apologizing to your children.
Oh, okay.
That's a big piece. But I got to get to social media.
Father,
Wow.
in the name of Jesus,
And so, go ahead, Tyler. I got to jump. Social media influence self-worth. Jump in. All right.
So now I feel like we living in a time where hell is popular.
You gonna start with that?
Hell is popular.
Go ahead.
From the clothes that they wear, the music that they listen to, social media, even the words that they say. I was just telling a couple of youth leaders the other day, they use these terms if they friend doing good. They be like, bro, you on straight demon time right now. Or they be like, man, bro, a demon, meaning that he doing good. Or now we use this term called the GOAT. So now we living in a time where the enemy is making himself popular. He is the influencer right now. So, but yeah, that's all I pretty much got for now. I feel like that even on like Snapchat. So like your kid could be watching one of their friends Snapchat, but then an ad will pop up, and then it's a chick in her in some lingerie. You know what I mean? So it's up to the parent to, you know, view what their monitor what their children are doing, because they could be playing Roblox, they could be playing Fortnite, and then it could be some pedophile on there talking to them in their ear. You know what I mean? They could be on Roblox, it could be somebody in their chat telling them stuff that they don't need to hear, right? And then you got these LOL dolls that our baby girls are playing with. They dip them in water, and then it changed. Now the toy got fishnets on. So now you got 10-year-olds dyeing their hair green, wearing fishnets and them high boots on. She got them on. So like they wearing them. So now, you know what I'm saying? So now all these kids are emo. It's like emo is the thing now. Like boys painting their fingernails black, but it's all because of social media. So
And I think you started off right. I think it's all demonic. It's all hellish. And I think for the most part, to be very honest, most parents are ignorant of it. Unless they stumble on it or their kids actually talk with them about it, they have no idea. Because most of our children have these in their hands 24 hours a day. And you know, we have all of our kids' passwords and all that, but to be honest, we don't check them often. You know, we don't. Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. But for the most part, I guess we don't check it as much as they're on it. And I think the burden still comes back to us, because hell is pushing them further and further out. The plate is being pushed further away to make these things normal. My son do tell me some things, but all of our children have things that they don't tell us.
Here's.
But
Go
I
ahead.
think that's why it's important as parents to get educated on what our children are doing. Because there are a lot of terms, there are a lot of symbols and signs that we will dismiss as, oh, that's just their thing. No, that's just not their thing. It needs to be our thing, so we can better understand, like Ty said, what's demonic and what's not. Because there's a huge demonic undercurrent as it pertains to this generation, and we're just letting it fly by like it's okay. And it's not okay. So we got to make sure, like Ty said, when they're in that room for hours, go in the room. What are you doing? What are you watching? What are you listening to?
Give me your phone.
We've told our children, no matter how old they are, we have an 18 and 24. My house, my rules. Let me see your phone. What are you talking about?
Unlock
So I've
it.
seen all y'all text messages, because I'm asking. Y'all quiet now, huh? Now they ain't got nothing to say. And we do this not because we don't want to give you guys the freedom to be your own person, but there are some things that you get into that's not good for you, and you don't understand it like we understand it.
And I don't. And
The ads coming up and pedophiles will be playing these games. Certain things, like when our boys sometimes play a game, one of them was playing and then somebody came on, he was playing with him, he was talking. I said, do you know this person? He was like, no, he just put in a personal game. I said, well, you can't communicate with everybody because you don't know. It could be a 50-year-old man sitting behind his desk, you know, trying to lure you somewhere. But I think because we're older, you know, they think, I don't know nothing. No, we know things, we've been there, we've heard things. So I think for children, listening to your parents, whether they're older, much older than you, or right at your, you know, like 10, 12, 14, 16 years older than you, whatever, we understand, we have wisdom. Listen to your parents, because there are people out there that are preying on children. You know, I'm a 16-year-old boy. They what they call catfishing. They do that now too. I just learned that term with the girl chat, you know, last year about catfishing. People are crazy. People are crazy, and it's our job as parents to protect our children as much as we can. And with the help of the Holy Ghost, we can do it. But our children, you have to let us help you.
Markia, jump in.
I do
And
have
then
something.
Tyler.
Yes. So I feel like as a millennial, we were brought up in a time where we had the choice for social media. It wasn't around before when we were younger, and then we had the choice to jump in. With that, I think it creates a barrier for if I want to be a part of something, I can, and if I don't have to be. It also gives us a unique position to be able to know what the children are experiencing. I'll even say, just for the sake of news, we don't go look at the news anymore. We all go to social media to figure out what happened recently. Something shared on Instagram is the way you get what happened in America versus actually going to research it. I think with that, parents are, or not our job, I'm not a parent, you guys have a job of educating yourselves on what's happening so then you can over-communicate or over-inform with children just so you know how to combat whatever it is they see. I mean, like I say, even as a millennial, going to watch a news story of somebody being killed, I need to talk about it to somebody. And if we aren't able to communicate with our children then what they're seeing or explaining to them what's happening, then they kind of interpret it or it leaves room for them to figure out what's next themselves.
That's good. That's good. Go ahead, Tyler.
I would encourage every parent to listen to the music that your kid is listening to, because you got to think, like, they can come to Crave, they can come here, and we can say something to them. But when they listen to that music, see, now these artists, they not afraid to share their emotions. So if your child been molested, abused, and abandoned, the artists are talking about it, and they don't got it together themselves. So they influencing your kid at the same time. So I would encourage the parents to just listen to the music and listen to what they're saying, because I believe in the Bible, the enemy before he got kicked out of heaven, I believe music was his thing. So he's still using those tools today because he don't like your kid. These kids these days are anointed. I see these kids do stuff. I'm like, dang, how they do that? Or I see them like how they create. It's totally different. That's why it's so important for you to monitor everything that they do, because the enemy loves blood, and he wants the blood of your child. Not to sound too harsh, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I don't think it's too harsh. I think we got to talk like real plain, because that's where they live. Sometimes we're approaching our children down here, and they're up here. They're past you, and you're trying to say, well, not Jimmy, and they're already doing some things that they might not even understand, but they're getting the results of them. And so I've always said music is not music, music is doctrine. And if they're constantly pushing a certain thing in their ear gate, it is creating doctrine in their spirit, which is what they then become to live by. Because here's the deal. You bring them here 2 days a week at best, maybe for Crave, maybe on Sunday. That's 2 days a week. If you're doing nothing else regarding Christianity, spirituality, outside of bringing them here, then you got 3 hours a week versus however many hours in a week that they're pumping everything else. And everything is doctrine, from what they want to hear, what they want to wear, hair, shoes. Everything is teaching them this is how you do it. And they'll come to you and they'll sell it to us. And because, go back to what you said, we want them to have the best and I want them to go through what we went through. We get it for them, not even understanding that we probably shouldn't be, or we should be adding some kind of discipline to it. And that's where the entitlement comes. So now when you say no, it's a problem. What do you mean I can't get the shoe? Well, because we don't have the money right now. Well, I'm not buying no more shoes. And now you're mad for 3 days, or you're disrespecting because I said you couldn't have something that you don't even need to have. But we've created that because we want them to have the best, but we have failed at doing our part. It is a lot. When you say educate ourselves and you say know what they're doing, that's not a work on our part. So for parents, it's easy to say, go in the room and play a game because I got to do A, B, or C, or I'm in school, or I got a boo, or I'm about to do this. And we're not even aware of what they're doing. I already know, maybe 35% we're aware of what our children are doing. Even sometimes we say, y'all on them phones too much, and we won't follow up with saying, put the phones down. We just fuss about them being on the phone too much. There ought to be a time, we just said, we got to create a time in our home where it's no gadget time. We tried it once, and you would have thought Jesus had come back and left us. Because to take the phones is like, you're taking my life. Like, what are you doing? I need my phone. And so it goes back to us. So we're setting up things now where even family meetings, they don't want to have them. We talked about family meeting. Come on, let's talk. We're going to talk with the family, because what the enemy is also doing is trying to break up the family in the family. So we all still live here, but we're not bonded anymore. And these are all tricks, but they're subtle. They're subtle. And we call them sports. We call them activities. And I stopped and said, wait a minute. I'm like, yesterday was our first time in a long time, all 5 of us been in one room together to do something together as a family. That's not okay. It's not okay. So I don't care if it's sports, I don't care if it's activities, you got to manage these things better, and we're seeing it now. It's different now as they get older. When they were younger, it was a different ball game. Get in the car, put your butt on hush, we going here or there. Now they're grown, they got their own schedule, they plan their own dates, they come and tell us that we going to the movie tomorrow, me and Jim them, and they got dates, and they got this, no ride, no nothing. And here's what we do. We say, so this don't make no sense. You ain't even tell nobody. I didn't know you was going to go. What time I got to drop you off down there? So it goes back to us. You were going to say something?
Yes. I was going to say this starts even in early childhood. You give your child something or they go quiet for 20 minutes. You already know it's something that they're doing. So you go in the room and check. I think it's all about the habits of that. Sitting at dinner time with your family, that creates a habit. Going to check on your kids when they're quiet, that creates a habit. And it's not too late to start those habits.
That's good.
So even if you start now to take the phones away, or when they get quiet, to go inquire and see what's going on, it creates an environment where now they don't have a choice but to come out of the room or to be a part of the conversation and not find themselves lost in their phone.
To Twan, before you speak, you mentioned the habits. This is what I mean by subtle. Because the schedules don't even allow for the habits sometimes. The children's schedules don't allow for them to eat dinner with us every night anymore. Because at 7:30, I'm picking one up, dropping one off. And this is Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So we got to find time to eat together. It's not like back in the day, everybody went to school, they came home, and most things are on a Saturday or Friday night. It's something every single day. It's stuff on Sundays, doing service time. It's things, and I have to manage all of these things, and it is a lot of work. It is work. You were going to say, no? Yeah? Yeah.
So the work part, I think, is something that we feel like we've done our part because we give them the necessities. You got a roof over your head. You got food. You got clothes. I've done all of this for you. So the rest of the stuff, you're going to have to, you know what I'm saying? Like you made the statement, just go on upstairs and just go in your room. And that's almost a neglect on our part. Because what we're doing is go and be with the devil. Go on in there with the devil. That's what you're saying. Go on in there. Listen, I knew years ago, I told my wife, I said, social media is going to be it's the devil in a lot of certain senses. And because when I did research on this, I understood something. I got spiritual revelation. When you said that the enemy, the devil was over the music, he had influence. And when the devil got kicked out of heaven, he became the ruler over the air. The air includes the airwaves, the frequencies, all of those things that we do in between that the enemy is over. So social media, cell phones, reality shows, music, all of that is undercurrent for the enemy. And so what we do is when we say go on upstairs and watch TV or go upstairs and play your game, you're saying go upstairs and be in the ruler of the air, the enemy. And you're giving our kids to the enemy. And then we say stuff like, where you get that from? Well, you sent me upstairs to sit with the devil, so what you think I'm gonna do? As parents, we don't look at it like that.
We don't, but I think we have to also balance, because I think all of these tools are tools.
Absolutely.
And I could plug my phone charger in and charge my phone, and it's a great thing. Or I can stick a wet plug in the same socket and kill myself. We got to teach our children how to use the tools. And so, some things on social media bother me as an adult. Some people, I can't stand to see what they post. It bothers my mental. And so I've taught my children, I was okay till I saw that. Well, you shouldn't look at that. Either unfollow them or just don't go to their page, because if anything bothers your mental, if anything bothers your heart because you saw what they posted and it's causing you to compete, compare, whatever, then don't do it. You got to teach them how to use the tool. Because that same tool can be an avenue for them to make great money through.
Absolutely.
But if you're on there sending booty pictures, then that's not what you need to be using the tool for.
There you go.
And so I think great balance is needed. I think what he said, I agree 1,000% that hell is attractive now for our children. But the enemy has always been subtle. We don't call it hell. We don't call it demonic. We call it other things, but it is very attractive and you don't know you've been got till you've been got. You don't know you've been distracted till you've been distracted. You don't know you've been hit till you see the blood. It's like, wait a minute. And so we got to get in front. I can honestly say as a parent, I've not done the best job with this because we moving, shaking, coming, going, allowing, giving, and then we're mad because of the results that we see, and we think a yell and a get out of here, don't do that no more is going to fix it. It's not going to fix it. Yelling doesn't fix it. You know, belts don't fix it. All that stuff don't fix it no more. These children, God forbid, but they'll raise back up on you now. Absolutely. You know, God forbid. But I counsel parents who have literal fights with their children because it's at a point where I can't even discipline them anymore. If I push him, he's pushing me back. If I yell, he's yelling back. That's why I said, God forbid, because I don't want to have a prison ministry. Because we're going to talk about that too. We don't have any time to get to today. We're going to talk about this level of disrespect that has now become the norm. Go ahead.
You understand why that is, though.
Okay.
It's because society's voice is louder than ours. Social media, entertainment, the music, the posts, we can talk until we blue in the face. But Lil Nas and all these other folks, they said this. This is what matters in their world. Mm-hmm. So if we're not in front of it, then we're light years behind trying to catch up to what our children
So we got
are
to talk
experiencing.
solutions. We got to give solutions because
That talking in the dominant ear thing.
and I wasn't trying to be funny because your dominant ear thing is powerful. And I asked you a question, not really trying to be funny, because I just do the in your face thing. You get in your face, yell, scream, that doesn't work. And you're right. Kids have said, why you yelling?
Yeah.
And it's like, or why you being disrespectful? But you can disrespect me. But now I raise up, you yelling and stuff. And so we got to give solutions. And I think that next session we'll bring some solutions to what we brought out today. And we'll take some questions and answers, questions from the audience and take answers from the platform. Because I really want to not just have a time of us talking. I want you to leave with something you can do to make your parenting better, to help your children be better. Because here's the deal. Even if they're off the chain, when hell hits them, they run back to you. Their pride goes up the window like, hey, here's what's going on, because hell has a way of scaring you too. And they run back, and don't use those moments to say, I told you so, and you need to listen anyway. You got to find that opportunity now to put that wisdom in so next time they'll make a better decision. My son came home. He says, I give him a curfew. I give them curfews. Sometimes you bust them, just like we did, and they come home and they lie and say they lost their watch or their phone had turned off or whatever. My battery had died or the White Castle was closed, whatever. I don't know. But I got home, Kay, and he was already at home. And I'm like, you got home before the curfew? That's odd. Like, you got 2 more hours. He's like, I was at the park, and they was trying to smoke. I ain't trying to smoke. Great. You made a great decision. Let's take it a step higher now. If those are your friends, though, and all they want to do is smoke, you got to decide now, should I even be hanging with them? Because I should have to make a decision every night to leave and come home because y'all trying to smoke. I may need some new friends because you're going to be like who you be around. And after a while, you're going to end up, well, let me just take a smoke too. Or let me just take a drink too, because we've made it all common. Smoking weed is like drinking coffee in the morning now. It's like getting a Slurpee from 7-Eleven. It's no big deal. Everywhere you go, smell like dead skunk. And really everywhere. And so that's a lesson. And I applauded him. Son, you did a great thing. Glad you came home. You got in an Uber, you came home, you ain't trying to smoke at the park with them. But when you go back out tomorrow, what if they try to smoke again? What if they bring with the smoking tomorrow some drinking? You got to make some now friend decisions.
And what if they start talking about you because you're not smoking and drinking?
Right, because now the pressure comes.
Yeah.
Peer pressure.
Peer pressure.
And so we applaud and then we also teach. But here's what somebody told us last week, was at a family barbecue, whatever, and the kids, because kids really do think they know more than us. He's like, hey man, don't wrestle with them kids. just let them keep on living. And they'll understand as they grow. Because right now, just like when I was 16, something I thought my daddy was nuts. Like, you don't know what you're talking about. Like, put gas in the car. Why? I'm gonna drive it on E. Like, I didn't understand. Like, why would I stop? Why would I stop? I could make it home. And so our kids are doing the same thing and keep living. And here's what I tell them. I am here for you. I'm on your side. We're your team. We're gonna support. We're gonna push. All of that. We're gonna give you wisdom. But life will teach you what you won't let me teach you. You're going to learn it one way or another. You sure want to learn it with us, because we're going to give it with grace, and we're going to give you patience, and we're going to pick you up when we say we weren't going to pick you up. We're going to do all those things. Life ain't going to do that. Life just going to lock you up. I call your mama now, and it's like, wait a minute. But I told you. I know, but. There ain't no but. I told you. That wall was red. If you lean on it, you're going to get red on your clothes. No, but I had said, see, my friend had told me, because I was online, and I told you this. And so I'm learning now to withdraw sometimes and let life. So I tell Justin, I tell Jaden, I tell Corday, you choose the animals. But if you call it a dog, that's what it's going to be. Don't call me when the dog start barking to come and get the dog. You name the animal. You made the decision. I gave you wisdom. I say, I wouldn't do this. I wouldn't do that. You're working now. I would save this. I'll put that up. I'll open this account. I won't buy some ones. You made the decision. Now we're going on vacation. You got no money. That's on you. We made a decision. And so these are things, but it's hard.
Yes, it is.
It's hard when the consequence comes. Stop. It is hard. It's hard when the consequence comes to not want to rescue your children, because they're your children. But I'm learning.
So,
you finna come at me too?
No, sir.
Oh, because you said so. Like, all right.
I agree.
Okay.
But you learn it. But once you get there, and it's kind of like I release them to the Lord, the place of peace that is praise the Lord.
Who said it's amazing?
Listen, here's the thing. For us, and I just channel all of this stuff back to just parenting. You just got to learn and advance as a parent just on what you're doing. But once you get to that place where it's like, Lord, I've done everything. My job was to train up a child in the way that he should go. That was it. I love you. I'm supporting you. I'm going to give you wisdom the whole nine. Whatever you do, you're responsible for. If you call a dog a cat and get bit, that's on you, right? I'm learning
Don't
how
you
not
sometimes want to kick on a Band-Aid? No,
not no more. There was a time. There was a time. I studied an eagle. You're gonna like this, Foster. Eagles. No, serious. This was a strong.
This our closing.
This is a strong revelation. Eagles, they train their eaglets in a way that they can survive. You know how to do this. I want your wings to be strong. I got you. If you fall, I'm going to pick you up. The whole nine. But when it's time for you to fly, they walk that little eaglet to the edge of the cliff and they push him. Watch this. This is hard. This is strong. But the eagle's mindset is, I've given you everything you need to fly. So when it's time for you to fly, you're going to fly or you're going to die. And we don't look at it like that. Wow. We don't look at it like that. That's why if you go to the bottom of like the Grand Canyon, you'll see a few birds. They didn't make it. Praise the Lord. No. Seriously. It's a few eaglets that just did, But you can't blame the parent. Because everything you need to survive, you have on the inside of you. And so I've learned, my son right now, he came to me, Dad, I want to move. I say, well, you sure? Here's the dad in me. I really know you shouldn't go. But I'm going to give you my wisdom. I'm going to give you everything you need to do. You fly. If you go, you fly, you cool. Now, you ain't going to die. Now, you come on back home before you get that low. But the reality is I'm trusting God now with my children, my boys, my young men.
So, Pastor Twan, that begs the question. I'm a parent, I'm a teacher, and I'm gonna throw this question to my wife, the social worker. When should we save the eaglet? When should we as eagles, how do we know
I was gonna ask the same
when
thing.
to put them out there so they can fly? And when should we save them and when should we not save them?
And how do we know when to, like, let them hit the Grand Canyon floor and die?
Now the Eagles.
Okay, no,
extreme.
don't answer today.
Okay.
That's next week. Now you got
Okay,
to come
okay.
back.
So that's for you for next week.
The next, that's a good drop off because I was going to ask the same thing.
Right.
Because I think there's even better. I get what you're saying.
Right.
But even in saying that, you mean to tell me if your son called and he's down there in like trouble,
Right.
you're gonna be like, I taught you how to fly, son.
No.
I mean,
That's.
she said absolutely not.
Now you.
So-
now let me.
No,
just-
no, don't clear up today.
No.
Next week.
Right.
I'm just throwing these questions out there. Whenever
We
the
got-
next panel is.
Okay.
Because those are legitimate concerns, right? Like y'all want to know? Y'all don't want to know? Okay.
You can let your kid live with you
Without
your
being
whole
called
life.
a sucker. Because she be calling me a sucker. You're a sucker. It's going to be good, ain't it? Did y'all enjoy the panel today?
I'm sorry.
That's a good drop off. Go ahead, Tyler.
I'm sorry. I know we gotta go, but I do feel led to say this. Parents, watch who you send your children to, and watch who they are around. Because a lot of times, and I'm gonna just tell my story. A lot of times, your kids go to these people's houses and they see stuff they're not supposed to be seeing. Or, as my story, I went over to somebody's house and they said, let's go in the closet and play house, right? So now I'm doing things that I had no business doing. So now all through school, why my academics was trash was because it kept replaying in my head 24/7. So sometimes when your kid, I highly recommend that you sit down with your kid and ask those type of questions. Hey, have somebody ever touched you? Have you ever seen this before? Because they not gonna say it to you because they don't know what to say. They don't know how to say it. So now they growing up with all these feelings and they don't even know how to express it. Like, I'm gonna just keep it 100. Like growing up, I was horny all the time. I didn't know why. I didn't know what the feeling is. It was something spiritual. Your kid can be going through the same exact thing. You don't know what they've been through at school. You don't know what they've been through at church. You know what I'm saying? Because it happens in church too. Let's just keep it 100. So that's what I would recommend. Sit down, have that conversation with your kids. Hey, has this ever happened to you before? Because if they never release it, it's going to eat them up. And then it's going to carry over to their adulthood. So
That's good. Okay, that's too strong to leave. So next session, we'll pick up with that question because that's very good. And then we'll slide into this hot part. I don't think we talk enough about being hot in church, especially when you're a teenager. Because we think because I'm saved, I ain't supposed to have those feelings, or I don't have those human things, and I don't never want this, and no. And you're right about that. He talked about it. If you're a visual person, it stays there. And it plays over. You could have watched that porn for 3 seconds, and now it's just playing in your kid's head. And so we're going to talk about those things and kind of be a little bit more open about our journeys, because it's not, they may be, I know the kids are there. You have to be there with what's being fed through the music. You don't even have to watch porn anymore. You can just watch, Nikki or the Scallion. What's the Scallion lady? Yeah. And so, can we talk about it next time? Will y'all come back next time? Give this panel a hand.